Here we are again for another What Your Pet Reptile Says About You. You all seem to really enjoy the first one, and many of you sickos were asking to be roasted in the comments, which is kind of baffling, and I am a little bit concerned for some of you lot. So I had 8 more reptiles on my list. I'm going to do 4 of those in this video, and I'm going to do the other 4 in a video sometime in the future. So the 5th reptile keeper that I'll be judging in this video was determined by you guys in one of my community posts. There were a handful of options, but the most popular was the black and white tegu. As of recording this anyway. I only left it like a week after that video had been posted to film this, so if one of the other reptiles has more likes by the time this goes up, there's not much I can do about that. Bearded Dragon was also tied with the black and white tegu, but I flipped a coin and the tegu won. So like the video if you enjoy it, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already and you would like to see more. And also remember, I'm roasting the reptile keeper here, not the reptile themselves. And again, this is all just jokes, just some light-hearted fun. I'm making all of this up at your expense. You did ask for this, so let's get into it. So the first one of today, the crested gecko. Well, look at you and your little crested gecko. What a bold choice. You're really showing the world how tough you are, how intimidating you are, and how much of an adult you are. No, I can't do it. This one's not going to be positive. You're a f***ing man-child. You're one of those people that eats f***ing cereal at night. Like, come on, lad. You're a grown-ass man at this point, with hairy balls and everything. Oh, wait. There are women that might be watching this, so I've got to be more inclusive. You're a grown-ass woman at this point, with a hairy... No, we can't go down that route. It might be safer if I just return to the cereal analogy. Now, what's worse is that you sometimes put chocolate milk on your cereal. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Are you 5? You even sometimes eat your cereal without any milk at all. Like an absolute fucking psychopath. Cereal is for children. It is kids' food. Next, you're going to be scooping bloody baby food out of a jar in a high chair wearing a bib. I mean, owning pets gives us this warm kind of feeling inside, right? It satisfies your paternal or maternal instincts. Makes you feel useful, makes you feel needed. Owning a crested gecko tells me that your instincts are broken, or that maybe your balls have not dropped yet, and that you're still most likely a child at heart. And let's be honest, you're most likely still bloody breastfeeding. I mean, me, I've done half the crested gecko roast without addressing anything to do with crested geckos. We've just been talking about cereal and breastfeeding. And balls. We've talked about balls a lot. So we're going to get back on track now. Bottom line, crested geckos are easy. They require basically very little effort and attention. They're not that far above a goldfish in difficulty, which is handy because that's the peak of your intellect, a goldfish. Crested geckos eat powder. Yes, you mix it with water, but it's basically just like baby formula. And that does not make you a chef. And I assume that all your food is either microwavable or deliverable. There were so many approaches I could have taken with this one, with the crested gecko, you know, with the simplicity of them. But I just can't help returning to the fact that you're just a fucking child. And you've probably had a few dry nights, but you're still a bedwetter. It's time to grow up.
Boom. Roasted.
Just so you guys know, I do feel bad about putting you guys down like this way and saying all of this stuff about you. But someone has to tell you. Something else about crested geckos before we move on. They have kind of like eyelashes around their eyes. They don't have eyelids, but they kind of had like these little spikes above their eyes that kind of look like eyelashes. So it's probably a good thing that they don't have eyelids and can't blink. If they could, they'd be a bunch of saucy little devils. Next up, the Jackson chameleon. Right. Now I know what you were thinking when you went out and got yourself a Jackson chameleon. You saw a lizard with horns on it and went, "F*** yeah, that's some real metal ass shit right there. I'm gonna look like an absolute fucking badass with this reptile. Women are gonna absolutely love me. I'm gonna be beating off all the chicks with a stick." Or if you're a woman that owns a Jackson chameleon, because what we just did may not apply to you, the men are absolutely gonna love you. They're gonna love you so much that you're gonna have to be beating off all those men with... That one doesn't work. Unfortunately, your new pet is not going to win you the favour of the opposite sex, despite how horny you are. Yes, I know that one was bloody well obvious. But I'm making all of this up on the fly, so cut me some slack. But as I was saying, this lizard ain't about to help you win any hearts. And by the way, just in case you weren't aware, Pornhub is free and does not require you to be attractive or to have personality whatsoever. You could be as dry as a pensioner's crotch. It's fine. It just requires one free hand to control the mouse and to type. I assume the other hand is busy. So you should try that instead of using your lizard to attempt to earn brownie points, I guess, with the opposite sex. Ain't gonna work. And who are we kidding? You already are doing all of that other stuff. In fact, you've done it all. You finished it. Yeah, you've finished it. Watched all the videos on there. Even the weird shit. Like, what's even in that fucking cup? So the same as the previous entry, we haven't actually spoke about the chameleon yet. So So we can do that now. I hate to break it to you. Your chameleon looks more like a tiny little confused triceratops that got screwed over by evolution. Or maybe it's just a regular chameleon wearing a disguise. And I mean, if that's the case, what does that say about you? It tells me that you're unhappy in your own skin, that you're insecure, and you're trying to blend in while keeping your dignity. It has not worked, and this grumpy attitude you're putting on could honestly just f*** off. Last bit here, I guess your chameleon kind of acts like a bit of a mood ring. When you approach your chameleon, him or her, they change colour, turning brown or black. And then when you leave, they turn colourful again. This should tell you that you're no fun to be around. You're a grumpy, entitled little sod, that even your pet chameleon, the one that you've raised from a little baby, the one that you feed, fucking hates you. Boom. Roasted. Now, why a Jackson chameleon, you may ask? Especially when you consider that they are not the most popular or most well-known of the chameleons out there, or even the second or third for that matter. I really wanted to use the horns to make a horny joke. Next up, the Chinese cave gecko. I mean, some of these just write themselves. Seriously, if I threw up a picture of this gecko, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Good job. Emo. If you own this gecko, you're the type of person that listens to My Chemical Romance on an endless fucking repeat and is more pale than Michael Jackson was, for fuck's sakes. The second part of Michael Jackson's life, not the first. But if you own this gecko, you were the kind of person in high school who thought the world was against them. You thought that no one understood you, that no one realizes just how difficult life is for you specifically. I mean, you think that dressing in pure black and putting black circles around your eyes makes you unique and shows the world that you're rebellious, that you're living your own way. And that is totally fine. You can do that. But let me tell you, no one gives a fuck. Yes, it's tough love, but you need to hear it. Just because you gel your hair and spike it up does not mean I give a flying fuck about you. And also, I don't know what product you're putting in your hair to make it stand up like that, but it's turning your hair into a fucking weapon. We could shove your head on the end of a stick and make a medieval flail. Or maybe you use the something about Mary method.
Is that a hair gel?
And if so, all I can say about that is you're resourceful. So what does it say about you that you've got this little cave-dwelling ball of depression? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you didn't get a pet reptile when you bought this cave gecko. You bought a little representation of yourself. You probably hate yourself and the world as well, to be honest. And I mean, you probably don't even bother eating anymore, because, like, what's even the point now? Let's just speed this shit up. Get me into that grave as soon as possible. Now, they say that depression is transferable. Or contagious, whatever. I have a theory that all cave geckos start out as leopard geckos. You know, the lizards that have a permanent smile on their face. But then once they go into the care of specific keepers, they become depressed and they turn into cave geckos. Their tastes change, their attitude changes, their fashion changes. They become these little darkness-loving, shitty horror movie fanatics that only come out at night like vampires do. You know what? That's probably it. You did this to them. You bastard. You know what? Instead of saying them, I'm going to call our cave gecko Steve. We're going to put some emotion behind this. So what you've gone and done is you've ruined Steve's life. He was so happy, so joyous before he met you. And just like everything else you touch, you have tainted him. Warning, this next bit is harsh. Pause the video, check the timestamp if you want to skip this because you're easily offended. Because, let's face it, these are emo geckos, and there's only really one place I can take this from here. Honestly, the only thing stopping this gecko from making a break for the afterlife is that it can't find a high enough ledge to jump off of in its enclosure. Because you didn't give it any climbing options, you selfish bastard. Let's be real, your Chinese cave gecko is the pet equivalent of a suicide note. I mean, you're both probably just sitting there at night staring into the abyss, wondering which one of you will take the plunge first. You sipping on your third glass of bleach, while your cave gecko slowly claws and scratches away the structural integrity of its hide. Therapy might be an option, but personally, I think it's too late for you. One last thing I want you to know here. It's your fault. You did this to little Steve. Boom. Roasted. Whew, that one took a turn. I mean, I'm actually a really nice person, you know. I'm a sarcastic dickhead, yes, but I'm a nice guy. I mean, that one was a lot, even for me. Well, if anything's getting this video flagged, it will be that part. Number 4, a false water cobra. Now, this is one of my favorite snakes, and I've actually owned one of these snakes. So I'm going to be insulting a previous version of myself here. And I do plan on getting a false water cobra soon in the future. So this is going to be interesting. I must not be biased. I must approach this the same as I approached all the others. Right, here we go. You've got a massive cock. You're an absolute fucking legend. Everyone loves you and everyone wants to be you. Women picture you during, you know, and men have posters of you up in their tool sheds. There's literally nothing negative to say about you here. You even have a wonderful accent. Fine. Let's just address the aspects of what I just said. You've got a massive cock, do you? Well, one of your best pickup lines when you go to the club or bar is that you can give them 12 inches of cock, but it will take 4 installments. And yes, men do have posters of you up in their tool sheds. And that's because they use it to play darts. And the bullseye is your cock, which is smaller in diameter than the dart head itself. So if you manage to land on that, you get 200 points. No, f it, 300 points. I mean, it's a very small target, guys. Let's face it, people, I'm included on this one with you. We bought ourselves a false water cobra because of the first word, false. We are spineless little cowards who are way too scared and intimidated to get the fucking deal. So we got ourselves the pretend version. I mean, we did a relatively decent job of convincing people that we actually have a cobra. We've definitely fooled a few people. I mean, falsies are slightly venomous and they do kind of flatten out their neck a little bit to look like a cobra. But we didn't even get the geography right. Falsies are South American snakes, cobras are not. So I'm going to assume that we're not the brightest bunch out there either. And well, you know what all that stuff does? What all that stuff combines to? It makes all of us legends. I will not hear anything bad about false water cobras. I mean, let's just quickly compare them to the real thing. You get bitten by yours, you're dead. I get bitten by mine, I kiss it better and move on. Now, yes, it's a false cobra, so there's a little bit of a front going on. Yes, whatever. But we did make the wiser choice here. The better choice. And I would not change that decision any day of the week. We do still have tiny cocks, though. Can't all be positive. Boom. Roasted. Number 5 now, the last one of the video. The one that you guys chose. The black and white Tegu. So am I going to take a good or am I going to take a bad approach to this one? Are you Tegu keepers legends or are you Tegu keepers twats? In case you're wondering how I decide which route to go about, I have a relatively reliable source. Myself. So let's see what we can do here. So a black and white, Argentine or Argentine, whatever floats your boat, Tegu. I bet you got one of these because you wanted something big and intimidating, so that you could prove to everybody that you're some kind of alpha. Well, congratulations. You've adopted a lizard that is commonly referred to in the reptile community as puppy dog tame. So what does that say about you? You still don't know which way I'm going to take this, do you? It says one of two things. First being that you're excessively lonely, and therefore got one of these to kind of fill a void in your heart, due to being neglected your entire life. Now, don't get me wrong, Tegus are great, but have you heard of dogs? If you need some love and attention, that would be a better option. I mean, it doesn't get much better than dogs, guys. Except chihuahuas, they can do one. Or, on the other hand, you got a Tegu because you're an absolute f***ing G. But before you assume that this is all going to be positive, hold on a second. Unlike your sex life, this is not going to be over in less than 30 seconds. My record's 37, by the way. Bottom line, if you own a Tegu, you're lonely and you need a hug. The next time you're at a reptile expo and you see somebody holding a Tegu, just go up to them and hug them. Don't even ask, just hug them. Can I get in trouble if people do that? Because let's be honest, you got a Tegu and you love your Tegu. And you know what? We'll give this Tegu a name. We'll call him Jimmy. And though you love Jimmy with all your heart, Jimmy tolerates you at best. He definitely does not love you. Jimmy pushed you into the friend zone the second he saw you. It's basically like living with an emotionally detached roommate who tolerates your presence because you pay your portion of the rent and you're not a total bore or totally irritating. You're sitting there thinking, this is Jimmy and he's my pet and he loves me. But in reality, you're just the butler. Or maybe the maid, whichever outfit you prefer wearing. So yes, you think your Tegu loves you, but in utter fairness, it would not blink twice if you got hit by a bus. Now don't get me wrong, you did choose an absolutely epic f***ing awesome reptile. Tegus are bloody amazing. They're big, they're cool, they have really powerful jaws if they choose to use them, which they will probably never choose to use them on you. Tegus are like that popular kid in high school. And you're that irritating friend that the Tegu has from when it was like 5 years old, who was a neighbor back in the day that it just kind of tolerates because it feels bad for you. So you've got a place in the group because the Tegu allows you to be there, but let's be honest, you don't belong there. And I think deep down you know that. Boom, roasted. That one was kind of weird. I was trying to be harsh, but I really like Tegus and I want to get one in the future. It was like a double-edged sword. So that's our 5 done. So if you're a Tegu owner, you're someone who's probably in the friend zone, who loves other people more than you'll ever be loved. If you own a cave gecko, then you're suicidal and you need help. If you're a false water cobra, you've got a tiny but you're a great person. If you're a Jackson chameleon, you're a couple of things. Either you're someone who drains all the life out of everybody you ever meet, or you're just excessively horny. Or you're a crested gecko, which means you probably still live in your mother's basement. So there we go. You guys requested it, and I did it, because I'm a legend. Now, I still do have 4 more on my list there, so if you guys want me to do a 3rd installment of this video, write it in the comments.